Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am a usual host and presenter, Advocate Tulu Hoyani. This afternoon I want to look at gender-based violence, especially in the light of the Omotoso acquittal and also the CWECWE story which has gone viral all over South Africa. It will appear that the NPA has got serious problems around gender-based violence. The acquittal of Omotoso has just, prompted some people who are involved with gender violence to come forward and to break it all up for us. The Teddy Bear Foundation, an NGO that works with victims of gender-based violence, counsels them, and assists them in a number of various ways, has come up with statistics, shocking statistics, that in gender-based violence cases, the NPA only has a 4% success rate. In other words, for every 100 cases that the NPA prosecutes involving gender-based violence, it manages to get convictions in only 4% of those. What a shocking revelation. Now, this brings us back now to the issue of Omotoso. Omotoso faced charges or was involved in a trial, an 8-year-long trial. At the end of that trial, Omotoso gets acquitted. Not because Omotoso was innocent, because of the lack of professional commitment on the part of the NPA. The judge had very scathing words for the prosecutors in the Omotoso matter. And to put matters into perspective, this lack of commitment on the part of the NPA can be very frustrating and debilitating on the part of victims. Because you see, it takes a lot of courage for a victim of gender-based violence to come forward and reveal sordid details, because in many cases those details are sordid, about how she has been abused. After rendering that testimony, that victim will then be subjected to cross-examination by the defense. And that cross-examination usually takes a very ruthless form. It becomes a secondary victimization. So this is all tragic when at the end of it all, instead of the victim having gone through all the trouble of giving testimony, through all the trouble of enduring that, unfriendly cross-examination, somebody like Omotoso goes free. It sends the wrong message out there to victims. And it is a well-known fact that gender-based violence victims are reluctant to come forward to report it. A lot of it goes unreported. Largely also because of the way they are handled in our police stations. Having, undergone the ordeal of being sexually violated, the police, in many instances, are insensitive to the plight of the victim. they would ask her all sorts of embarrassing questions, as if the victim, permitted the rapist or the culprit involved to perpetrate that offense on her. So it is a very difficult journey that victims have to travel, only to find that at the end of it all, the NPA is not just up to the task. A 4% conviction rate is just not good enough. Like I've already indicated, a lot of these crimes go unreported. Now, what does the Omotoso acquittal send out to, victims of gender-based violence and potential victims of gender-based violence? It says to them, it is not worth it. It is just not worth it, because at the end of the day, victims get acquitted. Not because, like I must indicate again, not because evidence is not there, but the NPA puts up a shoddy performance and simply fails to prove its case in court. That is the sad state of affairs that we find ourselves in. Now, let us also look a little bit at the CWECWE issue. The CWECWE issue, is still very fresh. Investigations are still underway. But we really hope that the police, together with the NPA, can get to the bottom of what happened to that little girl. Because I believe, and it is my strong conviction, that it is only by the NPA getting those convictions, that, confidence can be restored in the system, that ordinary victims can come forward knowing fully well that something will be done about their plight. So we are looking forward to how it pans out. At the moment, all that we are seeing is a blame game. The Minister of Justice has called on the National Director of Public Prosecutions to issue a report about the Omotoso affair. In turn, the National Director of Prosecutions has contacted the Director of Prosecutions in the Eastern Cape to give a report. So everybody is sort of washing their hands of the whole thing. They're just passing the buck, because the minister is sort of saying, well, it is the National Director of Public Prosecutions and not me. And in turn, the National Director of Public Prosecution is saying, oh, well, it is not me. It is my junior in the Eastern Cape, the Provincial Director of Public Prosecutions, who might be responsible for this. But the buck stops with the Minister and the National Director of Public Prosecutions. There's no way they can escape this. But how sad and unfortunate that, victims of gender-based violence find themselves in this state of affairs. A 4% conviction rate in a country where something like 8-9 women nationally get raped or are victims of sexual violence of one form or another on a daily basis. That is simply not good enough. Please let us discuss this. Let's see what you think on the comment section. Come back to me and let us discuss this. I'd like to get your views on this. But for me, the buck stops with the authorities. This is substandard work. The victims deserve better. Thank you very much for watching this video. And please like, subscribe, and share this video. And have a nice day.